Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Sunshine Coast Regional Hospital District at after 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. We're at 1:05 p.m. A bit of a late start, just getting our technology going here on April the 20th, 2023. And I'll acknowledge that the Sunshine Coast Regional District is within the territories of the Shuswap and the Squamish Nations. And this afternoon, I want to especially acknowledge that there's deep relevance and consequence to the Shuswap Hospital Board in being on the SWIA of the Shuswap Nation. Considering the announcement made this morning about the ground penetrating radar, I think we need to listen carefully to the words of being brought forward by Huwuslanar Joe right now and the nation about listening right now and about giving them space. I've deeply considered those words, and I think a lot of words we could have in response could be inappropriate, inadequate, to try to address the deep situation that the nation's going through. But I think we also need to acknowledge that the hospital district, especially in terms of that the land that we're talking about today, the land that we're on, is it's proximate. Couldn't be more directly proximate to where the St. Mary's Residential School was located. Our hospital, regretfully, sadly, even took its name for many years in association with that residential school. And to speak from, not to appropriate the nation, but to speak from a deeply personal experience as someone who came from a family that settled here in the last 100 years. I and many other people on the Sunshine Coast were born in that hospital. I literally came out of the fetal position in that hospital. And I really think that creates some very deep and complicated feelings for a lot of us, and I just want to acknowledge that before we start the meeting today. Our first item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Looking for moved and seconded. All those in favor? The motion's carried. And we have minutes from March 23rd, 2023. We need to do we need to adopt those minutes? I don't see a draft motion here. Yeah, okay. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? That motion carries. And our main item of business is a presentation from Corey Vanderhorst from the regional assurance partner. Yeah, I think I just see Corey presenting from MNP LLP auditors regarding the audit of the hospital district. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm going to share screen. Just give me a second here. Apologies off the top for the technical difficulties on my end. Got it all resolved now. And thank you for inviting me here to speak to you today. I'm going to take you through some of the highlights of the 2022 financial statements for the hospital district. We have completed our audit A big thank you to staff at the Regional Hospital District, Tina and Alex, who put together the financial statements and do the work throughout the year to get the financials here and to do the work on the audit side. We are happy to be, again, providing a clean audit opinion, an unqualified audit opinion. We are satisfied that these financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial condition and the operations of the hospital district for 2022. So looking at the numbers, looking at the balance sheet, or what we call the statement of financial position now, again, this is a snapshot of what was in the accounts at December 31st, 2022. And the hospital district has a fairly small balance sheet, so nice and easy to go through. There is just over $700,000 of cash and cash equivalents, an additional almost $3.5 million in portfolio investments, and a small amount of receivables at the end of the year. This restricted cash MFA debt reserve fund is related to the debt function, and how the MFA debt works is that this is held with MFA until all the debt is paid down and then released. It's a bit of a contingency fund against any other communities that are in on the debt, the way the MFE debt is structured, against any of their defaults. So it's not cash that you can directly access, but it is expected to come back to the hospital district once the debt is fully paid down. So total assets of $4.4 million. On the liabilities side, $140,000 of accounts payable at the end of December 2022. Again, this fluctuates year over year depending on grant requests and items coming forward from Coastal Health. And long-term debt being paid down on schedule of $4.9 million. So at the end of the year, you have what we call a net debt accumulated deficit position of $562,000. Moving then to the next page. Let's skip one page here. Get into the statement of operations or the income statement. So this is the activities and the transactions throughout 2022. You can see here tax requisitions as expected on budget, 1.285 million. Investment income with the climbing interest rates throughout the year, investment income has increased as well. And then other revenue, this is an actuarial reduction on your MFA debt. So as you pay down the debt, you also get this amount recognized as a reduction of debt. $1.749 million in total revenues, consistent with the prior year, and the increase in investment income being a significant item to note. On the expenses side, there's always an administration charge from the regional district for putting together and doing some of the work. That's as per budget, as expected. Interest paid throughout the year on paying down the debt of $356,000. Grants to the health authority of $294,000. You can see down from the prior year, where it was $905,000 and also below budget. But again, timing of when Coastal Health gets claims through and when projects are happening can impact this amount significantly. And a little bit of bank interest paid there. So $691,000 of expenses and expenditures, annual surplus of $1,058,000 on an accounting basis. So the last document I'll take you to for the looking at the financials is the statement of cash flow. So to unwind all the accounting entries and adjustments that are happening on the balance sheet income statement, and just look at what happened in the main bank accounts. So we have an accounting surplus of $1 million, $1,058,000. When we adjust some receivables and payables, you end up with $1,136,000. $262,000 was moved into portfolio investments, making sure you're earning a good rate of return and not leaving it in general bank accounts. $870,000 to pay down debt on schedule, and a small change in the MFA debt reserve fund. So the important number here for 2022 is that the main bank accounts actually decreased $1,170. So about as close to break even as you can get. The $1.1 million of revenue and activity paid down the debt, and an amount was put aside in the portfolio investments to earn a return. So I'll stop there, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Questions? Relatively straightforward, I think it looks like. No questions at this point?
Thank you.
So I think we are now going to staff to address item 4 on the agenda, which is the draft audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022. Unless there's staff comment on item 3 as well. And to further complicate things, it looks like your camera is backwards.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I'm just going to speak. I think it's pretty straightforward. If there's no further questions, really just the motion is to approve per the recommendation on the staff report here on page 24.
Okay, any questions from the board on this report? Directors, so we need to make that motion then to approve on 24. Okay, I see a mover, seconder. Any discussion of the motion? All those in favor of the motion? The motion carries. And I think there's a whole bunch of other titles here, but I'll just confirm we're ready to adjourn. Yes, okay. Moved, seconded. All those in favor? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.